Welcome back to Next Gen Leaders podcast, where we discuss with the leaders who are working towards change, who are working towards sustainability. And in today's episode, I'm sitting down with Jason, the founder and CEO of Insectflux. Insectflux working towards solving the food waste crisis. So in this episode, we are going to discuss about everything they do. So it's a great to have you here, Jason. To start, could you tell us that what realization pushed you to create Insectflux?
Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity, Mohammed. It's truly a pleasure, of course, especially when introducing something new, to be not only able to spread the word, but have people interested in what you're doing. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank
I
you.
am Jason Elate, co-founder and CEO of a tech startup called Insectflux. As Mohammed has mentioned, we're addressing the food waste crisis with a new solution, leveraging not only tech, but connecting the agri-food industry to the $2.5 billion insect farming industry. A kind of fun fact about me is that I did a double major in politics and economics. I graduated in 2023, and it was to become a diplomat. Clearly, I'm working with insects now, nothing to do with diplomacy, but I still get to be a diplomat every day. You'll be able to understand. My philosophy, essentially to answer your question, one of my core philosophies in life is that the world that we live in is made of a puzzle of answers. All of the answers that we're looking for are always in front of us. We can learn how to ask better questions, to get better answers, to make better decisions. It is about execution in that sense. 2 summers ago, summer of 2023, as a matter of fact, before starting diplomacy, so I had graduated and I was about to start diplomacy in fall of 2023. I had the summer for free time. And so diplomacy sounds nice, sounds interesting, but I thought I could do better. So what could I even create, right? And my point is around creating added value. A lot of people just want to create stuff. What you're building, creating will have to exist in the world. If you want it to exist as long as possible, it would be reflective of you addressing a real need. So I was focused on a real problem. I needed a real big problem. So the big question that I asked myself was, what should exist by 2030 that will be more relevant and valuable by 2050? And my answer is my startup, Insectflux. Puzzle in 2050, puzzle in 2030, puzzle today. What are the gaps that are aligned that will become critically more relevant that are under-addressed today? And this brought me onto the path of the global food waste crisis. Most solutions are based on producing less, consuming less. We're expecting 9.5 billion people by 2050 will be producing more and consuming more. There's a gap around in reintroducing nutrients back into value chains. As we've been seeing, the circular economy movement is reflective of that. We can optimize for better reintroduction of nutrients. And by me doing my research, I genuinely stumbled upon the insect industry. And I saw the gaps in how we could actually optimize. And for the insect industry is around $2 billion today. This and growing year over year. So the point here is we could have more insects essentially, but there's direct correlation to having more insect feed. By me doing my research, I realized that we could redirect the food waste sent out to landfills and such to insect farms to have more insects and have more animal feed in this case, since insects are being used as animal feed all across the globe. This gives you an overview, but of course, you can even imagine how many questions I've asked myself on this journey to get to this point, but this would be the bulk answer I could give you, of course, today.
So before Insectflux, what problem in the global food or agricultural system bothered you the most?
Before Insectflux, in terms of food waste, of course, was very ridiculous, but it was also the fact that the lack of understanding data about what's actually happening with your food before you even get it. I see this being a lack of traceability, to answer your question then directly. And I see this being, when I mentioned the puzzle, being a relevant node, something that we'll be seeing more and more and more. People will want more traceability of products, especially the things that we eat. So one of the biggest gaps was around that. How could we actually incentivize, because it's also reflective of all the companies not wanting to share this data because they're not necessarily incentivized to do so. So what I mentioned by being a diplomat today is, in diplomacy, you learn that for you to get what you want, you have to take in consideration, what do they want from you for you to get what you want, right? And I feel like a lot of people don't ask themselves these questions enough. So when you talk about traceability, Yes, I would love more traceability, but the government will more traceability, for example. But what is incentivizing for the companies to now introduce more data and traceability of products if you don't speak their own language? You have to make sure you speak their own language so that we speak the same language so that we move forward. So I'm doubling down on this with Insectflux as well today. It's one of the biggest components that we introduced.
Okay. So about your team, what do you feel your team knows that most people overlook about the insect industries and what you're building?
People tend to overlook not only the fact that I'll even say it this way. The usual example I started giving recently. How much do you think the dinosaur industry would be valued today if they still existed? We can't even imagine. Now, take in consideration the fact that insects have not existed for double the time. They have existed before dinosaurs, survived the dinosaur extinction, and they still exist today. Do you actually think that this industry would be valued $2 billion, considering the fact that there are millions, of species? Probably a lot more than 2 billion. And this is reflective of the biodiversity that can be unlocked from millions of species. What tends to be overlooked by people that are not familiar with the insect industry, most people don't even know that it's an industry. That's one. Second, it's about the different kinds of products, services, applications that could be unlocked in regards to that. So the point here is, as we're able to have more insect feed and truly reduce the food waste, we can also build in parallel the insect industry and democratize access to the products that can be created. And to give you an example, people, when I tell you about bees, for example, people tend to think about honey. When I think about bees and with the studies, the people that I've been meeting, the experts and such, when I think about bees today, I think about breast cancer cure. From bee venom extraction, we get to solve problems of cancer. And guess what? It's purely natural. I believe that everything exists in nature, and we have such a beautiful opportunity of introducing the best system ever created, nature, into our inefficient systems as efficiently as possible. And I would love Insectflux to be the middleman in regards to this. And my last point, as we're introducing something new as well, there's a beautiful opportunity around presenting not only the perks of insects in the insect industry, but also democratizing access to this to new people, even though we've been surrounded by insects our entire lives. So it's truly about bridging the knowledge gap, but enabling transactions of these products as well. It's one thing to know, but turns out that you could also have insect farms. You could create insects and join into this equation, which would enable individuals, companies, institutions to not only reduce the food waste crisis, but truly integrate the system where we get better, more protein productions at the same time. So the goal is to enable value creation, but enable with the bottom-up approach also value creation in Africa, in Asia, in places where people lack opportunities. So it's truly about enabling, and by doing this, we get to solve huge problems by enabling the collective at the same time. I hope that makes sense.
So I've heard about this, the problem you solve for the first time. So why do you think insect farming has not scaled faster globally despite its sustainability promise?
Okay, so the insect industry is quite tricky because you're dealing with something called biotech, and in this case, it's insects. Since you're dealing with food waste, food products, it could be organic products, byproducts, and waste in this case, there's a lot of fluctuations, meaning that food waste could always change in different regions. Even the same, for example, restaurants, traditional farms could have different kinds of products. Since you're feeding those products to the insects could fluctuate as well, which also implies, since you're feeding insects to animals, this fluctuation as well. This is one of the biggest problems. So the point here is around how could we actually build an ecosystem where we'd be able to have multiple players involved in the same equation, but that could benefit from them, which comes back to my point, by the way, of traceability, so that we could address these things. One of the biggest reasons why we don't have a lot of insect farms in Western countries, for example, is because you need to heat up insect farms. It's about the weather, the temperatures, which is why you have more insect farms in Africa, South America, Asia, for example. So one of the constraints is around energy. But to me, this sounds like an opportunity. So, what could we actually leverage in the Western countries that could help better unit economics while facilitating insect farming activities? So, one of my solutions is based on co-locating insect farms close to heat source. In this case, data centers, microbreweries, other kinds of farms, so that we leverage their excess heat rather than just wasting heat, have excess heat to heat up insect farms, and at the same time be close to the feed source. So not only do you have access, for example, on a traditional farm, you have access to the organic waste of that farm to feed insects. You can also leverage the excess heat to heat up the insect farm, and now you have tremendous unit economics. And that's our goal here. The lack of development of this industry stemmed from an industry when it first starts. To start an industry is basically a couple players starting their activities. And in this case, it was about vertical insect farms. The biggest insect farms created at first, 100, 200, 500 million in funding in some cases, were vertically integrated because they could not rely on other players. You have to do everything yourself. As an industry grows, you can now be decentralized as players specialize in different kinds of activities. And that is the purpose of what we're also introducing. As players specialize in, for example, someone is only dealing with eggs, someone is only transforming insects, someone is only breeding larvae, for example. Someone is only providing insect feed. In this case, it could be traditional farm restaurants and such. We'd be the platform enabling this. And my last point to answer your question, the real opportunity here, since the industry is mainly offline and fragmented, the opportunity stems from digitizing and consolidating. So by doing this with the focus on better unit economics, we can now have more insect farms globally, but also more viably on the economical, in terms of economies of scale, and in terms of viability economically being in our favor, so that we can actually have insect farms, but they can also survive the test of time. And these are two different things, basically. I hope that answers.
Okay, so you mentioned if we talk about ecosystem, how does Insectflux practically connect food waste generators, then insect producers, let's say end market buyers in one ecosystem? So how does this connect?
A very good question. And the core of what we're introducing, we are a tech startup. To not get confused, we do not create insect farms. We have partners that do. So very good question. For a marketplace to be not only real, but functional, if you want, it's about distribution and logistics. You're pressing a button for you to buy something or sell something. So you need to acquire something and get rid of something, right? So it is about distribution and logistics in the back end that could enable this. So what we're actually introducing here is not only a marketplace that could allow these kinds of transaction from the agri-food side to insect industry side, but also enable agri-food players to buy insect-based products, but also have individuals buy insect-based products as well. If you want insect fertilizer for your backyard, you could. If you want insect as treats for your pets, you could. And this would be on the business to consumer side of things. You have B2B, B2C, business to business, business to consumer. To answer your question, it will be about the real business model that we're pushing forward, essentially with our partners, different partners, is to anyone to have an insect farm globally, have a marketplace to buy or at least acquire insect feed, which turns out to be their organic waste and organic surpluses and such, have the same marketplace to sell your insects or insect-based products, have access to the expertise to do everything as efficiently as possible, but also the distribution logistics enabling this. So anyone that could have an insect farm and building an insect farm will require insect feed by default. So it's about unlocking not only the marketplace, but the distribution logistics that could allow these transactions.
So if we talk about revenue model, so what does your revenue model look as the platform scales?
So it was like the entire question. Okay. As a marketplace, it will be around transaction fees. The platform itself will be free, and I want this to be free forever. Just like Airbnb, Amazon, call it whatever you want, the big platforms. By the way, I believe in a world full of copies, being original. You know, a lot of people want to copy. I understand. It's also like more painful to build something new because it's with the premise that you're right, even though you're early. it's painful to be ahead of the curve. People have to move towards you, but I think it's a beautiful opportunity to design how things could look like. In that sense, transaction fees to start off with in terms of marketplace. We have different deals on the B2B deal with our partners in terms of private deals, if you want. We also have, as we're dealing with virgin customers, people have not truly been exposed to insect-based products. Promotion and marketing on the platform will be possible for merchants. So you're a merchant having specialized products, you'd like to present the products to as many people as possible. As we reach critical mass on the platform, it will become very valuable to present your products to the masses, especially virgin customers. That will be key. Distribution and logistics deal, as we're enabling that for players, is a part of the revenue model. And something that we'd like to unlock as we progress, as we're digitizing, would also be fintech integration. So financing and insurance of not only insect farms, but commercial activities. And that will be a part of, there will be a deal structure around that. For now, it's truly about transaction fees and a deal with our business partners that we have multiple business partners at this point, and the distribution logistics deals as well.
Okay. So what milestone are you focused on hitting next to unlock your next phase of funding or growth?
We're looking to raise funds in fall of 2026. So here, right now, the segment that we're here is truly about execution and proving as much, democratizing access to this data, or proving as many metrics as possible before we actually raise. I call this the paradox of being first. We have an opportunity of building something that does not exist. The question now becomes, how should it exist, right? In that sense, execution of milestones will be key. We have multiple deals that we're working on right now, including 6, even positioning for a 7-figure deal. The point, and by the way, I'm saying this because people could think about the insect industry and think that it's small, or you think about insects, it's something like pest, or something that you don't truly see or acknowledge. No. Not only are they, to give you an idea, by the way, think about all the animal species that you could even know, and you probably don't even know all of them, right?
Yeah.
Who does? Truly. 70% of all animals are insects. Think about that, So imagine what could be unlocked, not only in terms of product applications and services, but us leading the wave in terms of that. So not only, to answer your question more specifically, our focus here is on respecting the deals in terms of B2B deals, being able to secure them to not only optimize the value of the company, but being able to also test the replicability of those deals elsewhere. So if you were, for example, we're working on a deal in Colombia right now, and this deal will also include distribution, the perfect deal, if you want, like the perfect deal. And we get to copy paste this kind of framework with other players globally as well, as we prove this specific model. So as we're introducing our niche, in terms of, we have 3 niches that we're starting off with, we can now prove with not only investors, but other partners, future partners, institutional partners, and such, that what we just did over there, we could do 3,000 times elsewhere. And now think about the value creation for not only your region, if they're policymakers, or the investors, if they're a private company, for example. And the goal is to test the replicability of that. So we're truly focusing on the 2 vectors. I don't know if I mentioned this on this call: democratizing access to the industry and reducing costs at scale to us as a company. Our goal is to be the middleman enabling that while connecting both industries together.
Okay. So if we talk about like 20, 30, 31, like 5 years from now, so where do you see Insectflux?
I see this being, before I even talk about Insectflux, I see the insect industry being not only acknowledged, recognized, but established as a new node in not only waste management, but I want to say in the world, on multiple axes. So to give you an idea, when you think about, I don't know about India, I've done a couple of interviews in India, but I don't know if it's not necessarily kind of established just yet. But imagine bins. Basically, in Western countries, you have a centralized system of picking up your food waste. For example, recycle bins, organic composting bins, and traditional kind of trash bins. I would want not necessarily a bin for insects, but I would want something recognized as, I would love a fleet. By then, we should have a fleet if we still exist. We should have a fleet of trucks being able to pick up the food waste everywhere and redistribute them to insect farms. And that would be reflective of the insect industry being established in society. And this is what I mean. So by having more insect feed, you can have more insects. You can introduce insect-based products everywhere as well. So we can have a fleet of trucks and cars for the food waste that we distribute to insect farms. But as we're feeding insects, we also have more insects. We're also able to redistribute insect and insect-based products everywhere as well with the same trucks. So this would be reflective of the insect industry being established in society, people being exposed to this not only industry, but products, applications, and services, which would be reflective of this current industry being valued at 2 billion. At that point, should be much higher, So really expect us to be the beacon or basically the market maker, if you want, that could allow these kinds of pushes, but truly being able to enable the industry and other players to join the equation for that to be even possible. We can never pull this off alone, essentially. So with a systemic approach, what would be required for this to be possible? This implies working with institutional partners, working with cities, working with policymakers to enable this on the policy side. But with the bottom-up approach, enable people to own insect farms to truly reduce the food waste and increase insect-based protein productions at the same time. And we'd like to be the middleman enabling this, essentially.
Okay, so
And by the way, I fully expect this to be possible by 2030, 31, which was my answer.
I hope so.
I hope so too.
What has this like Insectflux? It's kind of an adventure. So this adventure taught you about yourself.
Oh, okay. Yes, about myself. I love this question because it's very profound. Essentially, as an entrepreneur, I'm a first time founder. So I believe in allowing myself. So when I meet people, I say, allow yourself, The beginner kind of mindset is super important, and people tend to feel uncomfortable by them being new to something. Like, it's okay. Are you new to this? Yes or no? If you are, then okay, it means that I have a lot to learn. I think it's a beautiful thing. In that sense, it was about me putting myself, to give you an idea, I've done a little over 1,000 interviews now in the last 2 years. At first, my stomach was turning all kinds of ways. I could not is this even like a good idea? Is this needed? Is this, but all these questions, it's okay to have questions, but the point is to figure out the answers. Either you double down, either you move on, but the point is time to me is the most important thing. And so how I choose to allocate my time is the most important thing. In that sense, how could I actually allow myself to move through time more efficiently? Does this mean interviewing people? Yes. You know what to do, So it's really about the environment, the context that you're dealing with or that you exist in, if you want, could fully absorb you. So it's about you moving faster, growing faster than your company or your narrative so that you stay ahead of that. So this journey has forced me to not only be very intentional about my time and who I choose to be with and such, partner with, but it's truly about enabling myself to move through time as intentionally as possible to get the job done. The paradox of being first is also, at one point, someone will understand the potential of what you're building, and they might try to take it from you. So in that sense, before you even talk about the people, you have to catch up with yourself. So for me to do the best job possible, it's about being as self-aware as possible to even keep up with my own narrative. And by me being able to do this, I should be able to create something that's reflective of a better company, which implies better added value for other people. I believe that everything comes from me, and by me being able to fine-tune this process, the collective can benefit from it, essentially.
Okay.
Anyway, it was kind of a fundamental answer, but the point is, I'm not better than anyone. No one's better than me as well. It's really about me versus me. And by me being able to be in control of this and allowing myself to being a better version of myself, everything, the domino effect should be in my favor, but also in the favor of the narrative that I'm trying to push. In this case, with my startup as well. So I really enjoyed this process. To me, my dream was to become a diplomat. What I realized is I'm a diplomat every day with what I'm building. My dream was to work at the UN. I'm now working with the UN, So it's truly about, you can never imagine what your life could take you. So how about you take the first step, then another one, then another, and then another one, and you see where it takes you. And I promise you, you turn around and look how far you've basically traveled or progressed. You'd be so shocked, but you have to be consistent to even reach this point, you know? So this means being intentional, being able to look at yourself in the mirror and understanding where you want to go, cut off the noise so that you could see your own path and showing up every single day. And I love that I choose to do this and I'm intentional every day.
Okay. So what I like enjoy about this interview is I like about your like perspective. So if we talk about Jason 3 years back, this question is like it's a personal question.
Yeah, go for it.
Because I'm someone who is starting right now. So if we compare just because what I realize, you are like you have become clearer and clearer towards your goal.
Yeah, for sure.
We compare Jason from 3 years back when he started and Jason from now. So what's the change you can like see?
And I love that you even introduced this question this way because I can not only answer, and by the way, I don't think I've mentioned this call, but I've been having so many interviews today, calls today, meetings. I believe in something called confidence to competence. Okay. I'm 25. I don't know if I mentioned this on this call, but I'm 25 years old, and you can truly do everything. The reason why I'm talking about my age is one of my biggest lessons this year. So at 25 years old was you could do anything you want. You can be as successful as you want. But the point is, I could tell that the capacity or the level of success that someone is able to reach tends to be reflective of the capacity of their nervous system to self-regulate. Meaning that, to give you a proper example, I used to, once again, before my first interviews, I did not feel good. I felt so anxious, blah, blah, blah. But it was truly reflective of my nervous system not knowing, not feeling safe. It's not that it was bad or like wrong. It's that I was not familiar with this. It was a new environment, a new context. Exactly. So to me, when I say confidence to competence, you want to do more to know more so that you get to fine-tune your execution. In that sense, in other words, a lot of people try to predict things. They won't actually pull the trigger or commit to things. So it's like, no, but I think, but what if it fails? What if? And this takes up a lot of energy, especially on the cognitive side of things. So you actually want to do more to know more so that you know if you want to double down or actually move on and allow yourself to move on. To answer your question more specifically, the big difference between Jason over 3 years ago and today's version is that I'm quick to action because I value knowing more than thinking. And by me being able to pull the trigger, you're actually taking the steps and collapsing time rather than wasting time thinking that what should be the name of my company? What should be? I'm wasting 2 weeks over that. ChatGPT, or maybe put this on standby. You figure out the name later. It's basically excuses, right? And this is reflective of your nervous system kind of trying to stay safe, but excuse my language, it's bullshit. It's truly nice. It's bullshit. You just want to feel comfortable where it's at. My real comfort now is in discomfort. Me being uncomfortable means that it forces growth. And
that's what actually I read yesterday in a book. Or like it's like fall in love with the uncomfortability.
Yes.
That's how you get comfortable in future.
Exactly.
If you avoid like discomfort now, so it'll be discomfort all your life.
Yes. And please, exactly this. Don't never forget this because people there's a cost. Please don't let, I hope people watching this will be able to grasp this as well. There's a cost associated to inaction. Okay. So a lot of people think that, you're comfortable. It doesn't mean that it's right. And the paradox is while you're not doing the things that you know you should be doing, it's eating you up inside because you know you should be doing something else. So allow yourself to do these things. And then this is exactly my point. I am confident today because I do my homework. But The point is, I'll allow myself to do my homework. You can truly do
Yes.
anything. You can, what Sophie, Justin,
Mm,
another Jason think of me does not matter. I know what I think of myself, and that is the whole point. So I've allowed myself or my nervous system to show up so many times. And the reason, by the way, why I'm saying this, and you'll be able to kind of, it's a, like a full circle answer. You should never aim to live in a world that's certain, like that has no uncertainty, essentially. There will always be uncertainty, there will always be noise. So, in my opinion, you should optimize to being able to cut through the noise. And what's key in that equation is you being self aware. In other words, in every room that I've stepped into, I'll be with Jason. I'll be Jason. So, who's Jason? You know, am I being me, being able to fine tune this process? Today, I know who I am. It's like, I'm Jason. I know what I want. I know who I want it with, but I'll get it.
mhm.
And this energy, so authenticity around this is also like magnetic. So you tend to push away what's not for you and double down with what's for you. You know, and I've allowed myself to get there. And guess what? You could do the same. Make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. So, mm, like, don't let your brain fool you into thinking. Just three, two, one, action.
Yes, it's a form of self-preservation when you think
Mhm,
about human nature. So which I truly understand, which is why I my filter, if you want, is to come from a place of love. You know, people live their own battle, and it's like I'm very aware of that. So I won't give you attitude. I won't judge you. I won't like on
mhm,
the human nature perspective. I understand, which is why self-preservation is very kind of a powerful feeling or fact of humans or actually animals. So you shouldn't overlook that. But once you understand that, it's like,
mhm,
okay, I could rewire my brain or like my ways of being to understand that I am safe in different ways, that in unfamiliar ways as well, rather than just focusing on what you know. Imagine what you don't know. And you being caught up in your own kind of bubble could limit you from growing
mhm,
and surviving when you think about it. So allow yourself to take one step rather than, if you want, people tend to be visual, rather than seeing the mountain and being like at the bottom of the mountain, how could it, maybe if I could maybe, how about you take the first step?
yeah,
Okay. And by 15 steps later, you turn around and you're like, wow, okay, I've progressed. And that is the point. Allow yourself to take the step so that you can
mhm.
actually get there, you know? Yeah.
Okay, Jason. It was great talking to you. I really enjoyed this interview. Thank you so much for joining. Do
Your
you have
pleasure.
any question for me?
I think, no, I don't have any questions, but to me, I think it's beautiful that you're even positioning yourself in these kinds of. I could tell that you want it for yourself, which I find
Mhm,
very beautiful because it's like you could do anything. You could do anything. I can't even put it in
mhm,
other words. So please allow yourself to get everything. I believe in abundance. There is enough abundance for everyone. Well, one, you have to accept this as a fact. If it's not the case, one. Second, you being able to do these things, whatever it requires you to get there, so at reach, one. But second, I think it's beautiful that you're even questioning how you could, which already implies that you're on your way. You know what I mean? Like you're open to this new narrative for yourself. So I'm 25. There's no age for this. It's never too late. The
mhm.
sooner the better, I think. And I think
Yeah.
that you're already on your way. And I love to see other people being intentional in that sense. Like good for you. In other words, like very good for you.